Let me ask you a question. Have you noticed something has changed? You open LinkedIn, you open Facebook, you read a post, sounds pretty good. Then you read another and another, different authors, different companies, different industries. But after a while, they all start sounding strangely the same. They're polished, they're articulate, they're organized, they're pretty perfectly structured, and yet you forget them almost immediately. Why? AI is making average incredibly easy to create. And when average becomes free, being average stops being valuable. Now, let me ask you another question. If everyone has access to the same AI, the same language models, the same prompts, the same tools, then what becomes valuable? Really? And I think we've reached one of those rare moments in history where technology changes the basis of competition. The Industrial Revolution commoditized manufacturing. The internet commoditized distribution. AI has commoditized average. So what becomes scarce? Judgment, taste, originality, trust, humanity. And that's why I think founders and buyers are experiencing the same problem from opposite sides. Consumers are saying, I don't know what to trust anymore. And founders are saying, I don't know how to stand out anymore. They're not two different problems. They're the same problem. One is the demand side and one is the supply side. And I think I accidentally spent the last few years solving that problem without realizing it. Now, let me tell you one of my favorite marketing stories. Over 100 years ago, a legendary copywriter, Claude Hopkins, author of Scientific Advertising, this guy could fit in today, was hired to improve sales for Schlitz Beer. He toured the brewery, he asked question after question. The brewmasters proudly walked him through every step of the process. They sterilized every bottle with live steam. They filtered the beer meticulously. They drew water from deep artesian wells, and everything was done with extraordinary care. Hopkins finally asked, why don't you tell people this? The brewmaster shrugged, because every brewery does this. Hopkins smiled, maybe they do, but your customers don't know that. Schlitz later became one of the biggest beer brands in America. Not because they changed their beer, but because they changed what people noticed. And I love that story because I think every founder has their own Schlitz beer moment, their own Schlitz story. Something they do automatically, something they assume everyone else does, something clients constantly thank them for while they barely notice it anymore. So let me ask you something. What's the thing your clients always compliment you on that you've stopped thinking about? What's the question people always ask you? What's that story you keep telling over at dinner? What's the process you've repeated so many times that it feels completely ordinary? That's probably where your competitive advantage is hiding. And that's exactly what I didn't realize I had built. 11 months ago, I was sitting outside Lamppost Coffee in Round Rock with my friend Bryan Eisenberg. I was explaining how I work with founders, how I interview them, how I look for patterns, how I uncover beliefs they've never articulated, how I help turn those ideas into books, frameworks, podcasts, events. Bryan got very quiet and he stared off into the trees long enough that it became awkward. Then he looked back at me and he simply said, viral genius. I was taken aback, and after a minute that seemed like an eternity, I asked him, what do you mean? He said, that's what you do. You help founders discover the genius they've been carrying around their whole lives. I thought it was a clever name, and then I ignored it for almost a year. I thought I was pivoting, strike marketing, category design, books, events, newsletters, communities, AI. And then I started organizing the UX AI Summit in Waco. I thought I was searching for the right idea to really commit to. And then I met with Bryan again a few weeks ago, and I started telling him about the UX AI Summit. He's actually going to be a speaker at the UX AI Summit about helping people discover what makes them uniquely human and then they amplify it with AI. He smiled. Fernando, that's viral genius. Your conference is the viral genius framework. Your category work is viral genius. Your books are viral genius. You've been building the same idea all along. And that's when I realized something. I wasn't pivoting. I was orbiting that same idea. I've been working around the same mountain for 11 months, looking at it from different angles without realizing it was the same mountain. Bryan had done for me what Claude Hopkins had done for Schlitz all those years ago. He pointed at something I'd stopped seeing because it had become so normal for me. And I think that's exactly what founders need today. Not another AI prompt, not another marketing tactic, not another growth hack, someone to help them see what has become invisible through familiarity. That's what I call the viral genius framework. After interviewing founders for years and after finally realizing Bryan was right, I noticed the same 5 things happen every single time. And here it is, the viral genius framework. Step 1, find what you're blind to. Your experiences, your convictions, your scars, your odd habits, the stories you tell over and over, the questions you always answer, the processes you've stopped noticing because they feel obvious, and those are rarely obvious to anyone else. Your greatest competitive advantage usually feels ordinary because you've been living it your entire life. Step 2, give it a name. Your genius isn't useful until people can remember it. Frameworks, categories, language. Names create clarity. Clarity creates memorability. Memorability creates differentiation. Step 3, turn it into intellectual property. Books, podcasts, videos, newsletters, keynotes, workshops, masterminds, virtual summits, in-person events, not random content. Assets that compound. Your intellectual property becomes the expression of your point of view. Step 4, create trust experiences. And this is what I've been really focusing on these last few months. AI can generate content for you. They can generate information, but it can't create those shared human experiences that you could only get in a human space. And in today's world with AI slop flooding our timelines, trust becomes the rarest currency in business. And that's why I believe books matter more than ever. Communities matter more than ever. Masterminds matter more than ever. Virtual summits matter more than ever. And in-person events like the UXAI Summit in Waco matter more than ever. Because trust is built by experiencing the same ideas together. And that's what I call the AI trust architecture. Step 5, amplify your humanity with AI. Now and only now does AI become the multiplier. Don't outsource your thinking. Don't ask AI to replace your point of view. That's average to the hilt. Use AI to make your point of view impossible to ignore. Because as Naval Ravikant said, you are the product. And I don't think that's ever been more true than it is today. Anybody can copy your prompts, your pricing, your features, even your products, but they can't copy your life. They can't copy your perspective. They can't copy that person that you've become over decades and decades. And AI shouldn't replace your humanity. It should amplify it. So 5 years from now, nobody's going to ask whether you know how to use AI. It's going to be everywhere. They're going to assume you do. The real question they'll ask is, why should I choose you? Your answer won't be your product, your prompts, your software, your content. It will be the person you've spent your entire life becoming. It took Bryan Eisenberg about 5 seconds to recognize my viral genius. It took me 11 months to believe him. My hope is that this series helps you recognize yours a whole lot faster. Because in a world where AI has made average free, the only sustainable competitive advantage is becoming more unapologetically, unmistakably, and authentically you. And then using AI to amplify that, not replace it. In the next episode, I'll show you exactly how I begin uncovering a founder's viral genius and why the answers are almost never where people expect them to be.